author, innovator, cybersecurity expert, head red teaming at Tech Mahindra, a British Chevening Commonwealth Fellow. He is also a ex TEDx speaker. And about his education, he has done his bachelor's from BIET Jhansi and he has done his master's from IIT Kharagpur. So, without wasting any of our and his time, I would like to hand over to him. So, over to you, sir. Please enlighten us.
Thank you, Shrutika. Thanks for introducing me to the participants. And good morning, everybody. This is Amit Dubey. I also run a radio show on 93.5 Red FM, where I tell my real life cybercrime stories which I have solved with police. So this is something which is to spread cyber safety awareness and to make people conscious about the challenges on the cyber world. Today, we are going to discuss different aspects of social media and virtual world. As we all have hooked on social media and we use all kind of platforms, be it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, LinkedIn, anything. But all of these social media platforms, they pose a level of risk to our cyber security. And that is something which I'm going to expose here. First of all, most of these platform and applications, they collect lots of information from you. And when we share these informations knowingly, unknowingly, and if it goes to wrong hand, which happens most frequently, we can create attack vectors against you. And how do we create these attack vectors, and what kind of crime can happen because of that? We'll try to discuss here. So as Shrutika has mentioned, the topic is dark side of social media and criminal investigation. So we'll investigate few crimes. I'll tell you a few stories here. And I always like to start my session with this note that I would love to change the world, but they won't give me the source code. So I truly believe that this entire world is a software program, and we all humans are artificial intelligence plugins, very similar to AI plugins. And to make it more concrete, if you see the behavior of any neural network, actually our brain works in a very quite similar way. If I could give you an example, a typical AI engine or typical neural networks, it is trained based on the information which is provided to you, to it. For example, if suppose there is I want to train an AI engine for image recognition. So I'll start showing different kind of images to that AI engine or feeding that data. And these neural networks will be trained based on that information. So suppose I show them a picture of an elephant and then different kind of elephant, small, big, different colors of elephant, and eventually the engine will start recognizing the elephant. But it will not be able to recognize horse or any other animal, because this decision-making capabilities is completely based on the information which is being given to that particular engine. Similarly, our brain behave in a very similar way. So we are the product of that information which is being fed to us since our birth. We are the product of that information. It means our decision-making capabilities, our liking, our disliking, or any of our emotions are completely dependent on that information which is being given to us. So if suppose you have born in a particular location, your surroundings, your family members, your neighborhoods, your localities, and then the problems in that localities, it completely decides how will you be in your future and what kind of decisions you are going to take in a particular situation. So that means that if I know the source of information, if I know your last 5-6 years of history on your social media or on your other platforms, probably I can figure it out very easily that what will be your decision in that particular situation. So there are tools available, and you can give them the access of your platforms and then the information platforms, and then the tool can predict that what top 10 things you are going to do in next 5 years, what will be your decision making decisions in a particular situations. There'll be multiple decisions, and the tool will decide, and then you will be surprised the tool is very close to the decision that you would have taken if you would be in that situation. So this is something which is happening around us and silently happening, and that's why we should all be aware about it. Some privacy issues that from where the information goes out. So I'll give you some context first, and then we'll see some real case studies. First of all, how to know like what all information can go out from us. So I'm just testing my browser for you, and for example, there is a link called privacy.net, and privacy.net you all can try out to check your browser settings, whether any of your information is going out because of your browser. So the possibilities are like somebody sends you a link, a simple link, URL, and you click on that link, and lots of information will go out from your browser history, your location, your laptop or Windows OS, and their charging level, and many other interesting information. So that is something which you can test on your own, that what is going out through your browser. So I have clicked on privacy.net, and I am analyzing my privacy to you. You all can do it later on after my session. You can start test here. So once you start the test, scanning for browser leaks, the very first thing the browser will give you the location, my location, and then my internet service provider name, my device identity, whether it is laptop, desktop, or which OS it is running right now, and then my Chrome version, and then my resolution of my Chrome browser, and my laptop is charged almost 100%. So all these information is out. The next and most important information that can create risk to your cyber security is this one. If in your case you go to this autofill leak test, and if in your case you see some of the information in this drop down box, some information is like your name, mobile number, PAN card, Aadhaar card, address, even password. If you see anything over here, that means you are at risk. That information can go out. And how does it happen? Because most of these browsers, they give you a facility called autofill facility, which means if you fill any form or any such registration form, you provide lots of details about you, your name, your address, your mobile number, your PAN card, Aadhaar card, your sometimes your many other private personal details like your questions, security questions, and all these informations could be stored in the browser and can be leaked out easily on a single click. So if in my case, you see there's hardly any information visible, which means I'm safe because I have disabled my autofill feature. But in your case, if it is not disabled, these information can go out easy. So if no drop down appears when you click above, it means your browser appears to have autofill disabled. So you are not at all risk of this vulnerability. Otherwise, your browser or password manager's autofill might be inadvertently giving away your information to unscrupulous pushers using hidden text boxes on sites. So this is something which is which you should all check. The next thing which you can test is user account test. If suppose you see any of your logged in account here, right now you can't see anything because I have done the settings accordingly. But in your case, you will definitely see some accounts here, like your YouTube account, your other platform like Instagram and all that you have logged in through your browser. If you have logged in any other thing through your browser, all these accounts will be visible here. So anybody on a single click can access the details of those accounts, not the passwords, but details of those accounts for sure. In the browser, capabilities like what all plugins are enabled in a browser, whether it is iframe enabled, JavaScript, WebRTC enabled, and all these features are really important if you want to switch on a camera remotely through a single click. WebRTC and all can be used easily. So that's why it is important to know the vulnerabilities, possible features in your browser which can be exploited remotely. So you should know what all can happen through you on a single click. Then only you can proactively protect yourself. There is a final thing called fingerprint analysis, and that fingerprint analysis creates your digital DNA, which means if suppose I have that digital DNA of yours, I can recognize you precisely among millions and millions of users, because whatever you do on your laptop or mobile phone, whatever, what kind of websites you visit, or what kind of applications you explore, or anything which you do, like Facebook, Instagram, social media, that pattern of everyday activities makes your digital DNA. And that is unique in your case. So if I have similar pattern of millions and millions of people, I can precisely, accurately identify you among those people. So all those possibilities are there just because of your browser accessibilities. Now going back, and let's have a story, and then we'll come back to our main learning. You all have our this Twitter hack story. I'll come back to it on later stage, but then before that, let me tell you some interesting story of a social media case. So this is one of a very interesting case which I solved and worked out recently, 3 years back. Actually, I was in Denmark at that time, and I got a call from a politician, from a leader in India, and he mentioned that a letter is getting viral on his name, and the letter has close to 15-16 corruption charges against him, and all these charges are fake and do not have any ground. But because it is damaging his image, and the person anonymously circulating this letter on different social media platforms, how can we reach to that person? So you would all have heard about this recent Ministry of IT and IB guidelines, where government has issued a clear-cut guidelines to all the intermediaries that you need to provide the source of information. And these are the reasons why this request has been made, because if you do not get the source of the information, the other party will keep on suffering unnecessarily without any legal actions, because there's nobody who is filing a FIR against him, and there's nothing which he has done wrong, even though he'll be suffering. And it happens not only with politicians, it happens with anybody and everybody. It happens with lots of girls, it happens with lots of businessmen, it happens with lots of bureaucrats. It is a common practice to damage anybody's reputation easily by putting out something on social media and circulating it or making it viral, especially against people those are little around. So this was one of that case, and at that time, because there was no such guidelines, and it's almost 3 to 4 years back, so I started analyzing this information on Facebook. What did I do, and how could I reach to the culprit? I'll just demonstrate it here in next 5-10 minutes. So I started looking at Facebook data about that person who has engaged me for this investigation, the politician, and I was looking at this information from every angle, and I realized like there are lots of people those are writing against him. So this is not the only incident, but this has been happening since almost last 1.5 months continuously. People are writing against this person, and they belong to his own party. So it was little surprising. The people from his own party, they are writing against him. This, which means this, it is a conspiracy. It is something which has happened with the notion, with the mandate. So I gathered all those profiles, and there were almost 527 profiles. And so this was first thing which I did. And these profiles were of those people who were writing against this person and also liking that or commenting it. So I collected all kind of profiles those were involved in this in this discussion, either posting something or liking or commenting. Now, if anything starts, any such conspiracy it starts from a location. This is thumb rule. This is thumb rule of an investigation, that you can't just call people from different parts of the world and ask them or request them, okay, let's do this conspiracy. It never happens like that. It always starts from a location. I can't just call a person in Romania and South Korea and China and Egypt and say, okay, let's do this conspiracy against this person. Normally, there'll be a situation where some trustworthy group of people, like 8, 10, 12 people, they'll sit together. They'll decide, okay, we should do this. And they'll start this conspiracy, and others would join eventually because they are supported. They want to support it. But it will always start from a location. So how to identify that location? So out of those 527 profiles, when I analyzed each and every location, I realized close to 145 profiles belong to the same location. They are from Dharampur. I have changed the location name, but assuming like it is Dharampur. So I got to know that location. Okay, this entire conspiracy, it started from that location. Then out of these 145 profiles, I analyzed each and every profile and tried to extract those profiles, those have large number of friends or followers. Like if they have pages, then large number of followers, or if they have profiles, then 4,000, 5,000 number of friends. Because I was interested to see to those leaders, not to the followers. So I extracted 17 profiles out of these 145 profiles. Those were having large number of friends or fellow followers. These were the leaders. And then out of these 17 profiles, I analyzed further and extracted 3 profiles of those people. Those have had earlier party senior positions in the party or some government positions, like ministers. They were having portfolios in government or holding some position in party. So I extracted these three profiles of the senior most people in this entire database, and then shared these 3 profiles with that superintendent of police, SP. And I requested him that my data says like these people are involved. You can further investigate and reach to the key person behind it. Now they were under high pressure. So they did their own analysis eventually, and they arrested one of these guys very next day. I saw this on Google News, and I was surprised, like, oh, very quickly they could work out and zero down the person. So I in no time, I got a call from that SP, and again, and he said, boss, we have arrested one person who is an ex-minister, but when we confiscated his mobile phone and laptops, we didn't find anything in that. There was nothing. His mobile was formatted, his laptop was formatted. So you don't have any clear evidence. Now what to do? So I suggested him that for sure somebody from the department would have informed this person that he is going to be arrested. That's why he has formatted his mobile phone and laptop. So there is one thing sure, that this person has something to hide, and that's why he did this. And second, this person is definitely linked with this case, because otherwise, why would he be even ready for this action? Because when police guy would have informed him that he's going to be arrested, he knew like why he will be arrested. So this itself says a lot. Now, coming back to evidence point, we can still collect lots of evidence. How did I collect those evidences? How did I get the clear court admissible evidences against this person? If you would like to know more about this story, you can always go to my podcast links, as I tell these stories on podcasts as well, and you can also read my books. So I'll quickly jump to the next case, and but then the purpose was to give you the power of social media analytics and how we can use it effectively to zero down someone. In a very similar case, I got a request. So there is another case. I got a request from a very popular CEO, and she was a lady, and very popular lady. And she complained me. She said, Amit, I've been receiving lots of gifts from someone unknown, and these are very personalized gifts. Like the person is sending me flowers. The person is sending me the accessories that ladies they normally use, and the makeup accessories, and then the sari and blouse and petticoats and all these kind of things. So she was little worried, like who is sending, and these gifts were coming to her office or to her residence, and somebody used to come and deliver this. And when we analyze the sender details and addresses, it was unknown. It was sent from different addresses directly through post office. So the address that was mentioned on that was of no use. It was clear that somebody is trying to woo her, but then who? And this lady is senior lady. So she said, like, because I keep traveling alone, and I'm afraid, like, if this guy will confront me all of a sudden and can do some damage to me, what? So how can I protect myself? And I should know beforehand, like, who is this guy? Now, this lady had almost 150,000 followers on Instagram, or more than that, and so with Twitter and everywhere, or Facebook and everywhere. And so what did I do? I start analyzing her Instagram profile first. When I analyzed Instagram profile, I could see most of the people, those who are, because she was quite active on Instagram, posting pictures on Instagram almost every day. And most of these people, those are actually appreciating those pictures, commenting, liking, were from his own company, So it was obvious they wanted to impress or to just be good to their boss, and that's the reason most of this appreciation was coming from them. But I was not interested to that person who was from her office. This person was definitely from her, out of her office. So I analyzed those 150,000 plus profiles and extracted. So I first of all, I removed all those followers, those were out of, because this lady was from NCR. So I removed all those profiles, those were from out of Delhi, because most of these gifts were couriered from Delhi. So which means this person's physical presence is in Delhi. So I just zeroed down all those people, those who are from NCR region, especially, and then age group should be of her age. And then I also removed all those people, those were from her own office, and I removed them and simply zeroed down eventually the target number of profiles. And then I also analyzed those set of profiles, those were the profiles of suspects. That what do they do? Are they active on social media? Are they look normal? Are they little personalized, or what all kind of comments do they provide? And so all these kind of things we did, and eventually we reached to a figure called 120 profiles. 120 profiles of suspects out of 150,000. And then I asked this lady to sit with me, and we analyzed each and every profile with her, that when did you meet this person? How does he sound to you? And all these kind of things I asked to this lady. And eventually, while working together, we could zero down easily with one person. Okay, this must be the person who is doing this all. And then when I gave this data to police, and then they did some investigation, this person accepted instantly that yes, I was doing this, and I'm so sorry, and everything solved in no time. So a case which was quite blind, and it was very difficult otherwise to reach out to those suspects. The social media makes it possible to reach to those culprits as well. So I'm just telling you the other side, where the criminals may also use social media against you, but then you can also use social media to reach out to those criminals. It is possible. Now, in your case, how do they use your activities against you? Because when you do anything on social media, it is recorded. And if it is public, anybody can see that. They would get to know, like, to whom you are close to, whose profiles you always like, whose posts you always comments, who are liking your posts and profiles, and what are the close groups among you, whose profiles you like but don't comment, whose profiles you comment but don't give very, very personalized comment. So that shows you the proximity with that person. How many people you do happy birthday, how many people you don't do. So anything which you are doing on social media gives some or other information about your personality, about your friends, about your proximities, and about your aspirations. And if this is out, these criminals and hackers, they can create attack vectors to approach you, to target you, to exploit you. So which keeps on happening around us. I'll tell you one more such case study, and then we can jump a little bit around dark web as well. Okay, I told you, like, we'll discuss this story. So let me come back to Twitter hack story as well. So we all know a few months back when Twitter got hacked, and we had seen the post from different prominent people's Twitter handles, including Barack Obama, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, and all these guys were actually hacked, because we saw the post from their handles where they were asking people to pay them $1,000, and they can return $2,000 or $3,000 by evening, because they are giving up their money. And many of these people, they believed, and they paid money in bitcoins to those wallets. So FBI investigated this case and they zeroed down to those culprits in no time. Almost within a week, they arrested these three guys. 22 years old Nima Fazeli from Orlando, Florida. 19 years old Mason John from UK. And 17-year-old Graham Ivan Clark from Florida. These were the three guys, those were suspect, arrested. And how could FBI solve this case? How could they reach to these guys so fast? So let me tell you the sequence of events which happened. First of all, the key person, the key culprit behind this entire hack was Graham Ivan Clark. And this guy was just 17 years old. That's it. 17 years old guy. He hacked Twitter and he started selling this as a service on dark web forums and on different illegal forums where all these kind of things are sold. There is one such messaging app called Discord. I'm sure many of you would be knowing about it. So Discord is a messaging app for hackers and it gives you anonymous communication. And this guy was on this Discord with a handle called Kirk hash 5270. And then he announced in that messaging app in this particular forum that he works for Twitter and he has access of all Twitter handles. So if anybody wants to do anything on Twitter, deleting any post or maybe making any post from anybody's handle, could be easy for him, and he's offering this as a service. Then few guys approached him back, Rolex 373, who was Nima Fazeli, and the other guy was Shyvon or Anxious 001. These guys approached him, took the service, and they started offering the service in other forums. So this was the chat dump. This was used to start the investigation, because normally FBI is also part of all those secure chat messaging app, and they always join and they might be silently observing the chat communications, dumping it to their servers. They do it. So they had this the snapshot of chat. Then there is a illegal trade marketplace called Org Users. And these two other guys, 22 years old Nima Fazeli and 19 years old Mason John, they started offering the service on Org Users as well. And this is an surface web marketplace. And there they mentioned their email IDs as well and their handles, same handles. Now, Org Users marketplace had been breached earlier in April 2020. So 2020 or May 2019 May, this Org Users marketplace were hacked, and which had exposed the email address of Nima, letting the FBI learn of this information. उसमें वो हैंडल और ईमेल आईडी मेंशन थे क्योंकि डेटाबेस लीक हुआ था. तो किस हैंडल का कौन सा ईमेल आईडी है, they get to know about it. And when they compared this email to the one that Nima had provided to Graham on Discord, it matched. Discord पर उसने अपना email ID दिया था. So it matched here. Once it is matched, it was clear, like, okay, this is the same guy. Then further investigation where FBI approached Coinbase. Coinbase is one of the largest cryptocurrency exchange in US. They approached Coinbase to know more about a Bitcoin address that Nima had shared on Org Users. So this Bitcoin wallet address, which was shared on Twitter handles from these Twitter handles of prominent people and asking money from users, this particular Bitcoin address was further investigated, explored, and the linked Bitcoin wallet address to that particular address. Eventually, the FBI get to know one of this linked Bitcoin wallet address was used on a Coinbase exchange to convert that Bitcoin into dollars. And there, the same email ID was used to register this user on Coinbase as well. So, and when you register yourself on Coinbase, you have to provide your KYC details as well. So they got the driving license of Nima Fazeli and other guys on this. So next, the IP address from which both the Discord and Coinbase accounts were accessed was also found to be the same, originating from Florida. This sealed the fate of Nima. Coming to John, he was more or less caught the same way, as he too had the same email address being used on Coinbase with his driving license, also uploading, allowing the FBI to know both his real full name and addresses. And Graham confessed himself being Kirk 5270 after a search warrant was released against him. To conclude, all three have severe punishments in place, with Graham having his bail set to $725,000, and John may face up to 45 years in prison, and Nima may face up to 5 years. So this is something which is a very, very recent case, and I think we all should know about the investigation processes and how our activities on different social media platforms, whether it is anonymous or whether it is named, you would always be visible. So that's why I want to tell you, because never ever think like any kind of incognito mode or any kind of dark web proxies can help you to protect your entity, because if someone wants, they can definitely reach out to you easily. I'll discuss one more case here, and then probably we can jump to more for interesting dark web. And this happened, not this one. Let me take you to some social media case. Okay, this is also one of one of the very interesting cases which I have solved and worked out in 2017 or 16 something. So at that time, I was in Hyderabad, and I got a call from a renowned journalist, and she asked me that she needs my help because she received an email from someone, and the lady who has sent this email to her, she has mentioned in her email that she's going to commit suicide tonight, and she was depressed. She was a great fan and follower of this journalist. So she mentioned in her email that she is going to commit suicide, and after her death, the journalist should create a documentary or a show on her life, that how come a young, ambitious, hardworking girl reached to this situation where she has no other option but to commit suicide. And this is because of the societal pressure or the norms of the society. So the journalist was really concerned, and she definitely wanted to reach out to this girl and help her. But there was no mobile number mentioned. There was no such detail mentioned in her email, just an email. And that email came from some unknown place. It could be anywhere from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And journalist wanted me to help her as soon as possible, because in any time, this lady could commit suicide. I could see this email in evening 6 o'clock, because I was all through the day, I was busy in a conference. When I saw this email, I called this journalist and I checked with her whether she received any call before that, any message or anything linked to this email ID. And journalist confirmed me that there was no such communication happened earlier. This was the only mail which she received, and that to today afternoon. So I got that email. She forwarded that email to me. I also checked her email headers, but then there was no such IP addresses mentioned in that header. So we were not able to figure it out from where this email came. But yeah, there was something which we can always do actually. So the name of that girl had a special surname. So with that surname, we can figure it out that in which state of India she could be, though it is not sure, but chances were there, like, okay, she could be from that state. Then I read that email multiple times. When I read that email multiple times, I realized like this girl has recently passed out from her college. She did some B Pharma course, and she joined a hospital. And during that service in hospital, she met with a guy. And this guy, they both close to each other. They both came close to each other and were going along. And this was not liked by her family, and that's why her family was against this relationship. And eventually, they reached to this conclusion, like it's not working out. And from her email, I could make out that only. and she has taken this decision to commit suicide. Now, so with this email, I could figure it out 4 5 things. First, name of this girl, of course. Second, age could be 2021. Third thing, that she has a boyfriend, and the boyfriend is from different religion. So I could figure it out what could be the religion. And also, she works in a hospital, and she did B.Pharm. So many these are things. These are very very important things. And during 2016-17, we had a feature in Facebook called Graph Search. We can still do it, but in a very restricted way. So I did that. I did a graph search, and I could extract the profiles with these kind of details. So I got 7 profiles on Facebook with the same name and similar kind of details, or mentioning no details, but the name was same. And then I was analyzing those profiles. If we could zero down to that particular profile because of any such information mentioned in that profile about her boyfriend or family members. Meanwhile, I also sent an email to that girl in response to her email that life is beautiful, mentioning very positive things about life. I also mentioned that I also had gone through the similar situation a few years back, and now I laugh on those moments. Life is ever changing thing. You should always enjoy it. Don't do this. Don't commit suicide, because this is not the solution. And so these kind of things I mentioned, and I also requested her if you could talk to the journalist once. I think you will feel good. I also mentioned the journalist number in that email, if she could dial or call to her. And along with that, I also attached an IP grabber with that email, so that whenever she'll open that email, I'll get her IP address. She didn't open the email, and I've been waiting and analyzing her Facebook profile and all those possible Facebook profiles. Those could be of that girl, but then was not able to figure it out. Around 1 a.m. in the morning on that day, I found an alert. I got an alert, and this lady has actually has seen my email. She opened that email. So one thing was clear, that she was still alive, and second, because of my email, she could delay her decision, because normally in such psychological situations, if anybody could talk to that person who is going through with this pain, she or he could definitely can come out from that phase of mind. It happens, but because they find nobody around them, and that's why they reach to this conclusion. So I think I thought, like, okay, I think it may have worked, and I also got the IP address of that lady. The IP address was from a location in Mumbai, around IIT Powai. And then at 1 a.m. in the night, I called a police officer, SP in UP. He's my friend, and I called him. I said, I need someone in IIT Powai area instantly to help me. And on my request, this officer, he connected me with a DSP in Mumbai, and he gave me the connect of the local SHO in Powai, Mr. Inspector Jamdade. I still remember his name. And I called at 1 a.m. He was actually so tired all through the day, but on my call, he was ready to search this lady around this place. Okay, one more thing, that because of this IP address, I could also zero down easily that Facebook profile which could belong to her, because otherwise we were not clear about her location. So now location is clear, so I could zero down. Okay, this is the profile. So I was quite sure this is the picture, this is the lady, and I shared that picture with that inspector, and I asked him, like, can you just search around the neighboring societies and check if anybody could recognize this girl and can help us to reach to her. This guy, he went all around and checked with each and every society, security guards. This is in middle of the night, and nobody could recognize that girl. He was trying hard. I was also searching parallelly on social media platforms to know more about this girl. I also looking about her friends, that if anybody would have mentioned any mobile number or email ID. So I got few email IDs, and I sent an email to all those friends of her about requesting them to help us to get the mobile number of this girl so that we can help her. Morning 6 a.m. I got a call from a person who was a friend of this girl, and he called me. Said, I know there she could be in Powai, because she does not live in Powai. She has a friend there, and probably she is at her house. So this friend gave me that address, and then I sent Inspector Jamdade to that location. We got the correct address, and then Inspector Jamdade met this girl, she, and told her that we had this information about you because you sent an email to this journalist. And this girl asked the inspector, how did you find? The inspector said, yeah, there are ways and we can do this. She said, no, tell me, how could you find? And the inspector revealed this. Okay, somebody was helping us, and he is from Delhi, and all these things. She wanted to talk to me, so she called me, and then she knew, okay, I was the one who sent that email as well. So she talked to me, and she said, if you can find me, then you can find him as well. And I was surprised, like, who? To whom you want to find? And then she told me that she did not tell me the complete story in the email. It was just a half a story. Actually, she is blackmailed by someone, and someone has his personal photographs, and that's why she has no other option, because she is unable to share this with her boyfriends as well as with her family, and nobody is in talk, and she is all alone and going through heavy stress, and that's why she took this decision. So she really wanted to reach to that criminal. I found this interesting, and I took a flight, reached to Mumbai, investigated her phone thoroughly, and I found a Trojan virus in the phone. Somebody had manually installed something in that phone, and her pictures, personal pictures, were going out from that phone, and all other details. Then I also realized that somebody is actually after this girl, and had targeted her. I also further analyzed the Facebook profile, and to make the long story short, when I analyzed this profile of her multiple times, if you ever analyze any such Facebook profile, you should always find the possible number of loops. So if suppose this is the victim, and I'm just searching the loops, how many number of loops are there in the profile, which means like I am a friend of yours, you are a friend of someone, and someone is a friend of someone, and someone, that final guy, is a friend of me. So there is a loop actually. But there are few guys, those are not directly connected with me, but they are connected with me through this loop. So this loop is of my interest always. So if this is the victim, and she is a friend of Prachi, and Prachi is a friend of Sunny, and Sunny is a friend of Nishant, Nishant is a friend of Vishal, and Vishal is a friend of Rahul, and Rahul is a friend of victim. Similarly, through Raghu, similarly through Prachi, Nishant. So you can see there are clearly 3 loops coming out. And then I did a deep dive in these loops and these profiles specifically. I realized that this guy Rahul, he was actually people are commenting on his profile, even if people are not of his friends. Like there are people, those are actually endorsing him and liking all his posts and endorsing a lot. So that gave me some suspicion, and I checked each and every profile in detail, and I found that most of these profiles are fake. They are created by someone, because these profile pictures were taken from somewhere else, and the name Prachi has been used by some girl in Meerut as well, and it is in Mumbai as well. So I could easily make out that these are fake profiles, and because of their friends network and all, there are simple steps to which you can figure it out easily. And then I sent a request to Facebook about the login details of those all Facebook profiles. And we got the IP addresses from where these Facebook profiles were logged in. And to your surprise, these all profiles were managed and run by the same guy, single guy, and who was the boyfriend of that girl. I have changed the name of the boyfriend and everybody here, but assuming he was Rahul, and he planned it in a very nice way. And this all was done before their affair, because he was chasing this girl since a long time, was not able to get her proximity. So he created this Facebook profile network, and eventually get into his network, get into her network, and then they became close friends. And this leads to the situation. The girl belongs to a very rich family in Mumbai, and this guy was after her money actually. And we realized like when he thought like it's not working out, they can't marry or they can't go along. He started blackmailing her and wanted to make some money out of it. So this is a true story, and it can open many of our learning windows. How this virtual world is helping criminals to trap innocent Smithas and innocent Prachis, and that's why we should all be aware about it. This is a darkest side of social media, which we should know all the time whenever we are using any social media platform. So I'll stop here and I'll request the coordinators if they can pick few questions, and I would love to answer those questions.
Yes, sir. It was a very great session, sir. We had some questions. Shritika?
Yes, all of the participants, I want to request you all, any questions you have, you can put them in the chat box. All the participants, any questions regarding anything which sir has told us, you can put all the questions in the chat box. Till then, sir, I will be reading all the questions we have till now. So, Nirav is asking this question: is there any open tool for sentiments analyzing tool?
So yeah, there are many such tools available, and there are some university research tools are also available. I'll show you a few of this. There is a tool called Wolfram Alpha, which I used at that time. Wolfram Alpha is a very interesting tool which can analyze your data on social media. Then there's a tool called Connect. Then there is a tool called Nefu. Is a company tool's name. I'm just missing it out. And there is a tool from University of Berkeley as well. I'll just share it on my screen. It is there. And you can also search it on Google sentiment analysis tool. You will find many, because nowadays you have many free tool as well. At that time, there were many paid tools, and that's why it was little specific or not that easy to do such analysis. But then I think today is no such issue because we have many options. Just showing you a tool which is a free tool by University of California. Trying to just reach out to that tool. Give me some time. Yeah, meanwhile, we can pick another question. I'm just searching the tool.
All right, sir. Next question is full procedure of how to become a cybercrime investigator.
Okay, there's no such step-by-step method actually to become an investigator. You should have the interest first of all, and creativity. Without creativity, you can never become an investigator, because you should be able to think beyond the normal processes, and that's the key. So if you read a lot, if you have a learning habit, I think you can become an investigator. Rest of these things are just tools which anybody can learn easily. Learning, even if you learn all the tools, it's very difficult to become an investigator, because there are people those are expert of these tools and they can use these tools better than me. But sometimes they limit themselves because of the creativity. So, for example, you should start adapting a habit of understanding the way the criminals are thinking. And criminals are innovators. Criminals are real innovators. They if they can break a very standard, strong, mature process, and they can penetrate to those systems, which means they were able to identify those vulnerabilities and gaps those none of the other guys could identify, and the systems were audited multiple times. For example, Twitter. If Twitter can be hacked, and Twitter had almost $1 billion security budget, if with all these experts those were securing the Twitter, they could not identify that gap and somebody could get into it, which means the person who has hacked it was really smart enough and more, I would say, articulated, which could see the gaps inside the system. So this is something which will come as a creative instinct, other than the technical skills that you can learn. But there are courses. I'm not saying that you can't learn it through books. There are courses like forensic investigator, certificate in forensic investigator, certificate in ethical hacking, of course, certificate in crime investigation as well. There are lots of courses running around by different universities and bodies. You can definitely go through those certification programs, very small courses. But beyond that, it's you who could learn all these things on your own. Nobody can stop you learning it through Google or anywhere else from all these books and places. I can also help you there. You can follow me on my Facebook page, Route 64 Foundation, which is facebook.com at Route 64 Foundation. And on Twitter, you can ask me, and I keep sharing some interesting stuff that you can use in your investigations.
All right, sir. Moving on to the next question. Are there any open source and Linux tools available for social media analysis?
Yeah, there are many sentiment analysis tool and social media analysis tools are available. In fact, most of these platforms, they themselves give some analytics about their platform. But then how are you going to use that analytics, which is different? So I wanted to show you some tools. I was not ready with those links. I'm still searching. And so meanwhile, I'll find some links and I could share with you. You can keep on moving. I'll definitely share some links. Otherwise, I'll post it on my Twitter handle. You can check it later. Okay.
All right, sir. The next question is from some anonymous attendee. He's a BSc and he has done BSc and he has knowledge of hacking. Hacking, pen testing, and etc. Is he eligible for cybercrime investigation, or he need any other graduation?
See, even if you are, I think you have already done a lot and you have proven yourself. So you are definitely eligible. You can definitely help police department. And if you want to join them, there are openings, there are requirements, keeps coming every now and then. If you can, I don't know from which locations you belong to, but then I can help you to get connected with your local police departments. You can directly approach to your SSP as well, and you can meet him and you can say like, I have these skills and I want to help you. And actually I did like that. And so you all can do that. And they would love to have your services. Believe me, they will engage you instantly if you have any such skill. Moreover, there are official job postings. You can search it on Google. I keep posting it on my Twitter whenever there are openings of cybercrime investigators and such experts. They pay good money, actually. They pay good money to these investigators. Almost every state have allowed private investigators, experts to work with police department now. Punjab has started recently. Other states have been doing it since many years. So I'm sure there are opportunities for career as well, and you can grow a lot in your life. So please reach out to your local police SSPs. Only SSP can take this call. And then you can also search about your state police websites where they keep on posting such kind of job openings.
Sir, the next question for you is that all this investigation you do are manually or they are by automation?
I do it manually because we get most of this data from different sources. There's no such one tool which can help us. And every such case is a different case. So there is no such step-by-step process through which you can solve every case. You have to think it from a fresh angle, and then you need to find out the possible approaches. So 90% or 80% of this effort is manual. Yes, 10% we do use tools because sometimes the data is so huge that you can't analyze it manually. So we have to refer some to.
Moving on to our next question. Sir, is there any way to tap phone number live location even if the phone is on or off?
If the phone is on, of course, you can do it. You can always track the live location, even if the phone is not on cellular network, but it is using some Wi-Fi or something. You can get his location. And if it is off, we cannot get his recent location, but we will definitely get his historical locations. And once the historical location is out, we can use that to figure it out where you could be possibly, and who are you possibly, or what you are going to do possibly. So suppose you always keep, if suppose for a week, I have your 6 days of locations. And for 7th day, for a particular hour, your location is missing, or for 4 hours, your phone is off. And then again, I start getting your location. That itself gives me lots of information about you. So any change in your day-to-day pattern goes against you. And nowadays, this because in India we have not started using it, but in the US and in UK as well, this National Cybersecurity Center of UK, sorry, which is a part of GCHQ, they have started using AI, and they use AI to profile a criminal on social media platform. And recently they have worked out and I think arrested close to 55 people. Those were involved in child grooming. So they were doing, they were creating fake profiles and were in touch with teenagers, girls, and trying to do their brainwash and trying to actually be friend with them and then exploiting them eventually. All these 55 people, those all were, I think, above 40 years of age, were arrested. And this all could happen just because of social media. This all could happen because of an AI tool, which could profile them precisely, their psychology, their pattern, the way of working, their offline, online times, and everything. So I think I have hinted it out well. I can't give you a binary answer to this question, but yes, the possibilities are there.
All right, sir. There is a question. How do we know if our phone is hacked or is someone has put a virus in our phone? How do we know that?
See, first of all, sometimes even if your phone is not hacked, you start feeling those kind of symptoms. For example, you suddenly get a pop-up in your phone. It's not a WhatsApp message, not SMS. It's a pop-up, proper pop-up. That's तुम्हारा phone hack हो गया, your phone is hacked, and now I'm going to transfer money from your account, something like that. What will be your reaction? You will see, oh, he's right, my phone is hacked because I'm seeing a pop-up. Now this symptom is not because of any exploits or because of any hack in your phone, because it is a feature. It is a feature of a Google that if you have same Gmail used on a laptop and a mobile phone, and somebody get the access of your laptop, he can pop up a message to your phone. If you know about this, your reaction will be different. You will always look to your other devices. Oh, my iPad kahan hai, mera laptop kahan hai? Because wahan se pop up. But otherwise, if you are not aware about the simple feature of Google, your reaction will be to surrender. Oh my God, my phone is hacked. And then they can also change your PIN. They can also format your phone remotely because this is a feature of Google. So what I'm trying to say, there are lots of such features of your applications, services, like Facebook has lots of features. Twitter has lots of features. We don't know about them. And these are used by criminals to scare you, to create that fear, and then to exploit. So first of all, there could be such symptoms which can give you an assumption that your phone is hacked, but it is not hacked. Hacking a phone is an altogether different ballgame. And if it is hacked, then the hacker will not give you notifications. The hacker will not let you know about it. He will silently do everything. So if you are able to see any symptom, which means your phone is not hacked. Please be conscious. There could be other symptoms like your WhatsApp messages is going from one device to another device, and you are not doing it. It is possible. It is possible through simple trick that we do, and people get scared because of that, because there are features. Now WhatsApp has started supporting the same number on multiple devices. I think now you can run same number on 4 devices. Earlier it used to be on 1 device. Now many people do not know about this feature, and there are criminals, they can use that feature to scare you, to create chaos in your life. So what I'm trying to say, hacking is used very lightly by people, but hacking a phone is really a work of a smart person. It can't, and but there are ways through which we can create an illusion or to that target, that he will start thinking that his phone is hacked. So 80 to 90% cases that we get today are of not real hack. These are these simple features that criminals are using against them. Yes, but if your phone is hacked, you will definitely have some kind of symptoms. One symptoms that you switch off your Wi-Fi, you switch off your mobile data network, and you keep your phone in front of you. You will realize, like after a few minutes, 10-15 minutes, your mobile data will automatically be on, or your Wi-Fi will always will automatically be on. If it is happening, which means there is some application which is forcibly switching on your data or switching on your Wi-Fi, so that it can transfer its collected information to other server. So there is some CNC, command and control server in place. So you should notice that as a behavior. Similarly, we all know about these simple features like your because the application is continuously uploading heavy data outside, your images, your videos, your phone book and everything, your data consumption will increase suddenly. And second, your mobile will get heat up, because this continuous upload will definitely heat up your phone. So if it is happening, this is another symptom. So these are the simple symptoms which you can observe if your phone is hacked, and then you can scan it properly. There are many scanners. Lookout is one of those scanners you can use. But moreover, sometimes there may be possibility that none of these scanners or antiviruses, they can detect that malware if somebody has actually done it smartly. And in that case, you need some cyber expert who can actually connect it with the laptop and can see all the logs, first of all, of that phone to identify the exact traces of that malware.
All right, sir. The next question is, how do we stay protected? The regular simple Android users or Apple users, how do we keep our phones protected from any such attacks? What are the simple basic measures we can take?
See, this question is not complete actually, because your phone is not the only way through which criminals will try to access your life. There are multiple ways through which they access you. You might be lenient on your laptop. You might be lenient on your iPad. Your phone is one of that device, of course, but then your SIM card is another thing. Your Wi-Fi, where you are, sometimes you use free Wi-Fi and airport Wi-Fi and railway station Wi-Fi. All these are the places where hackers are active, and they try to use that one. They take the advantage of that situation for sure. So it's not only phone, it's the way you are using your phone is also important, and the way you are using internet precisely, because you are using internet on through different devices. So whenever you access internet, you need to be a little conscious, especially when you are doing financial transactions, that are we using a safe network? Is it a private network or encrypted network? If not, then you should wait for the transaction. Second thing, mobile camera, it is misused heavily by criminals. They can switch on your camera silently on a single click. They can use your recordings when you are playing a game, because in many of these games, cameras are used, and then they can use it to create obscene videos about you, and then you can blackmail you. Now, this is something which can't be stopped by securing your phone. It is because of your habit. It is because of your because of the way you are using an application or a service. You become vulnerable. The phone is safe, secure. Hacking a phone is not that easy also. I'm just telling you that fact. Actually, hacking a person is easy. Hacking a person. So normally criminals try to hack you to reach to your devices. They don't hack the devices to reach to you. It is other way around. वो आपको हैक करते हैं, आपकी साइकोलॉजी को, उसके बाद आपकी डिवाइस में घुस जाते हैं. वो ऐसा नहीं करते कि पहले डिवाइस में घुसेंगे और फिर आपकी लाइफ को एक्सप्लोर करें. So I think if you know this difference, somebody has asked me a question, I think last time in my Gurugram police workshop, I mentioned that I always, I learned a lot from Bhagavad Gita when I started recently reading it. Just 3 years back, I was going through a phase when I was not able to solve a complex case. And I never knew like what is there in Gita, because we all know about Bhagavad Gita, but we never read it. We have some different illusions about it. उसमें ये होगा, वो होगा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. उसमें साइंस है. और ये चौंक गया मैं, being an IITian, I was thrilled. Oh my God, ये तो मुझे पहले पढ़ लेनी चाहिए. So I was really shocked to see that, and that's what I mentioned in my the previous workshop as well. That in chapter 13, when Krishna answered about that, who am I? How do you know that मैं हूँ कौन? तो वर्चुअल वर्ल्ड में भी वही स्टेप फॉलो करता हूँ जो कृष्णा ने आंसर किया, कैसे जीरो डाउन करना है. क्योंकि दृग दृष्टि विवेक का उसमें एक सिद्धांत कि नो एंड नोअर शुड बी डिफरेंट. इफ दे आर सेम यू कांट डिफरेंशिएट दैट. तो ये कुछ फैक्ट्स हैं जो वहां से पिक किए मैंने, और मेरी बुक्स में भी हैं, आप देखोगे. एंड इट्स ऑल साइंटिफिक. That gives you lots of learning to not only balance your life but to help in your professional life as well. Most of these problems that we have today is because of our 5 vulnerabilities: काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह और अहंकार, जो कृष्णा बोलते हैं अर्जुन को कि किसी की भी 5 कमजोरियां हैं. कितने भी साइबर क्राइम मैंने सॉल्व किए, सब में ये इन्हीं में से किसी एक को एक्सप्लॉइट किया गया. डिवाइस तो बाद में बात आता है. काम, क्रोध, कोई बंदा बहुत एंग्री है, उसको पता है कि इस बंदे से तो वो नफरत करता ही है, इसके अगेंस्ट तो वो कुछ करेगा. It becomes easy for me to hack that person. Very easy. Lobh, if he is greedy. Moh, if he is attached to someone. If he is too much close to some philosophy, ideology, person, usko to hack karna bahut hi aasan. And ahankar, if the person is thinking like he knows everything, nobody can hack him or nobody can touch his life, usko hack karna और भी आसान. तो जितने भी 5 कॉमन वल्नरेबिलिटीज हैं ह्यूमन बीइंग की, यदि आप फोकस करोगे गौर से, you can create your attack vectors precisely against anyone, and out of 10 you will be successful in 6 times for sure. So this is something which I think we are missing out, because nobody actually takes it in that way. They always takes it as a religious text. It's not religious text, it's a completely different text. And एक श्लोक में बोल के जा रहा हूँ because मुझे बड़ा पसंद आया था उसमें, अन्यो शोष्यन्तो माया जना पर्युपास्ते तेषां भिक्युक्तानां योगक्षेमं महाम्यहम्. परफेक्ट, जो एक इन्वेस्टिगेटर के लिए होता है. जिसको इंटरेस्ट है एक बार जाए पढ़ें. मैं यहाँ उसको डिटेल में नहीं बताऊंगा because we don't have time and I have to switch to another session. But if there is any more question, I'll definitely take that.
All right, sir. Without wasting more of your time, I'll jump to the last question. What are raid rooms?
So I was about to show you the dark web, and I could not give you a glimpse of it, but now because this question has come out, I'll show you something. Dark web is something which nowadays people are quite interested, and we have red rooms in dark web. In fact, when first time I was exploring dark web in 2013, I get into a red room and I was shocked to see that. So whatever internet you have accessed till today, it is just 3% of the actual internet size. 97% of the internet is hidden, and which is called deep web and dark web. And especially this dark web, which is known for illegal activities, it is 7% of the size of the actual internet. So it is actually double of the surface web anyways. And it has lots of child pornographic content, illegal trading, illegal, whatever you say illegal in this normal world, it happens over there. And to access that dark web, you need a special tool called Tor. So I'll quickly show you some website on Tor because we have limited time. This is Tor. I have opened in front of you. This is a Tor website. You can see here URL. And this is first website which I can show you. This is Hitman Service 2021. यहाँ पर आप killers hire करते हो और कितने सस्ते में $1,000 में. You can see here, average price for murder is $5,000 to $9,000. And this is an aggregated platform for multiple such offerings, multiple such websites जो content killers offer करते हैं. 4 साल पुराना ये, reputation great है, escrow account offer करता है, 0% advance, encrypted communication and mixer. And then you can read here, marks killed by this hire hitman service have been reported in the news. Offers built-in escrow, accepts external escrow, 0% advance payment within Bitcoin anonymously. They do not ask for customer details. Jobs get done in 7 to 14 days, and blah blah blah. So such kind of things are common on dark web, and lots of such websites are there. I'll quickly show you something. Rent and hacker website जहाँ पर आप hacker hire कर सकते हैं. यहाँ पर उसके rates दिए गए हैं कि example email hacking, Facebook hacking, installing Trojan, small DDoS, €250. Medium and large jobs, ruining people, espionage करना है, website hacking, DDoS for big website, €500. So these are some popular catalogs on dark web. Then you can become a citizen of US. There is a service for that as well. They are just charging $4,000 and giving you all passport and documents. UK passports you can take. Interestingly, when they are offering you these passports, this is not the printed copies of the passport. These are, they actually make your entry into the real database. And if they are able to do so, we can understand there are severe vulnerabilities in such servers. Those are actually used for Aadhaar card or maybe passport or any countries. It's not for any country because the services are available for any country. US fake IDs, US fake driving licenses and all these things are there. Then you would have heard about recently the drug market of dark web, which is also there, and counterfeit USDs and different other services. So this is something which is there in dark web. And as you have asked a question of red room, or we call them torture room, there are criminal groups, especially in Russia and Russian countries. I mean not say Russian, but there are many other countries, including Turkey, Uzbekistan, and all these, Armenia and all. And we get traces from there where these red rooms are running, and people kidnap girls and kidnap people, other people, and then they torture them. And then there are people those are viewing those torture rooms and paying them for that. So different such kind of heinous activities happens over there, as I have mentioned, including child pornography and all. So dark web is really a very dangerous world, and we should avoid accessing that for sure. So I think we can stop here because I'm getting continuously calls from other side and I need to stop somewhere.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions, and thank you so much for this wonderful, interesting, amazing session. I hope all our participants enjoyed it. Thank you, sir.
So much. Thank you. It was lovely.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot for coming to the Graviton 2021, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. And if you have any more questions, you can always reach out to me on my Twitter or Facebook page. I will try to answer all your questions as best as possible. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.